25 years later, during his campaign for the presidential elections, when asked by a journalist what he remembered about the Great Depression, John Fitzgerald Kennedy responded as follows: "I am not personally familiar with the Great Depression. My family possessed one of the world's greatest fortunes, and during that time, we were wealthier than ever. We had larger houses, more servants, and traveled more. The only direct experience I had was my father hiring an extra gardener just to provide jobs. Until I studied it as a subject at Harvard, I didn't truly understand the Great Depression." This topic was one of the main issues in the 1960 elections. People wondered how someone who didn't know about the greatest economic event of the last generation could lead the economy. JFK surpassed this challenge in many ways with his experience in World War II. World War II was the most common experience of the previous generation, something that his biggest rival, Hubert Humphrey, lacked. The difficulty for us lies in this: education and foresight, regardless of the level, can never truly convey the power of uncertainty and fear. I can read about what it's like to lose everything during the Great Depression, from those who have written about it. However, I don't bear the emotional scars of those who have personally experienced it. Those who have lived through it cannot understand why someone like me would take satisfaction in things like owning stocks. We see the world through different lenses. Accounting statements can model the historical frequency of major declines in the stock markets, but they cannot capture the feeling of worry when a person comes home and looks at their children, wondering if they have made a mistake that will impact their lives. Reading and studying history may give you a sense of understanding, but it might not be enough to change your behavior until you experience and personally feel the consequences. Always, it is only when you live through something and feel its outcomes firsthand that you may have enough understanding to alter your actions. We all think we know how the world works, but as investor Michael Batnick suggests, in reality, each of us has only experienced a small slice of this world. In Batnick's words, experiencing some lessons is necessary to understand them. We are all victims of this reality. Two economists, Ulrike Malmendier and Stefan Nagel, working at the National Bureau of Economic Research, conducted a detailed study in 2006 by examining 50 years of consumer finance surveys. The study delved into how Americans use their money. In theory, individuals are supposed to base their investment decisions on their goals and the characteristic features of the investment options available to them. However, people don't always behave this way. The work of Malmendier and Nagel shows that people's lifelong investment decisions are largely influenced by the experiences of their own generation, especially the experiences in the early stages of their adult lives. According to this research, individuals who grew up in a high inflation environment invested less money in bonds in their later years compared to those who grew up in a low inflation environment. Those who experienced growth during periods of strong stock market performance allocated a larger portion of their money into stocks in their later years compared to individuals who grew during periods of weak stock performance. Malmendier and Nagel state the following: "Our findings suggest that the risk-taking inclination of individual investors is linked to their personal stories, not just a matter of intelligence, education, or sophistication. It's simply about where and when they happen to be born, due to some random chance." In a 2019 interview with the Financial Times, renowned bond manager Bill Gross expressed the view that if he had been born 10 years earlier or later, he likely wouldn't be where he is today. Gross's career coincided almost perfectly with the generational collapse that led to a rise in interest rates and bond prices. Such events not only affect the opportunities that come your way, but also shape your perspective on those opportunities. For Gross, bonds were wealth-generating machines, while for the generation that grew up in a high-inflation environment and suffered its consequences, bonds could be seen as effective wealth grinders. The differences in people's experiences with money are significant, even in situations where we might think they are quite similar.